YouTube Ozzy going the Goat Owls is back with my score predictions and picks against the spread for the divisional round of the playoffs. So 4 games. I'm going to go over a little bit more at the end too. Some anytime touchdown picks for this weekend. So hopefully a better weekend than last weekend. Only one good game last week, but I got my top 100 players going on Twitter. I'm tweeting them out in portions. I just got called a racist for some of my rankings, so that I got that going for me. So check it out. I'll put some links pinned in the comments. So follow us on Twitter. Check out our sponsors, Liquid IV, GLD Shop. We'll have off-season videos right here coming out along the way with the playoff content. Already started on that. So got some good ones planned too. So really excited. Join us. Texans, Ravens, first game. These are tough to pick. I mean, a lot of surprising ass beatings. So some of them not really last week. So what are we going to get this week? Obviously, Vegas thinks it could be an ass beating or close to an ass beating. 9.5 point spread. This is a little tricky, though, picking against the spread. You see my score. I went 24-16. I think a little bit more defense than expected, even though the Texans offense, I'm a huge CJ Stroud guy. Nico Collins has been fantastic. Offense has been good. Devin Singletary's running well. Really good play designs. Know how to game plan. So I don't want to doubt their offense, but they're playing a really stout, maybe the best in football, Ravens defense in Baltimore. So I don't really have them scoring a whole lot, but I do think the Ravens offense could be a little rusty. Texans do a good job stopping the run. This is a different style run, though. Sometimes the Ravens receivers kind of let them down, but overall recently been playing pretty well. Lamar's been playing the best in football. DeMeco Ryans calls a really good defense, but he's familiar with the playoffs. I know it's a new team in the playoffs, but he's very familiar with it. So I think it'd be more a defensive game. I mean, 24 points a good amount, I suppose, but we're used to the Ravens scoring more than that. I don't really see them getting much more than that. 24-16, but tough picking against the spread with the 9.5 because it's a lot, and the Texans played well, and they got DeMeco Ryans, good game planner. They got good offensive weapons, so could they keep it under a 10-point loss? Sure. My worry is not only the Ravens, the best team in football, to this point, but the Texans play indoors. They played indoors last week. CJ Stroud seems to play, even looking at college, he had some really cold Big Ten games, compared to that Georgia game, indoors. Not really going to base things off that far back, but the point is in Baltimore, going to be cold. This is Ravens football. This is Ravens weather. I think it plays a factor here. I think it plays a factor for the Texans offense. So, could the Ravens win in a beatdown? They definitely could. So it's probably going to be close to that line. I see some people picking Texans, and I guess I'm not going to do that. But the argument for that is, I think DeMeco Ryans is a big part of it. Like how he coaches the defense, how he prepares, what he throws at you. I mean, he was doing stuff against the Browns that we haven't seen the Texans really do all year. And the Ravens these starters haven't played in weeks because they didn't play the last game of the year. And sometimes they're a little stale on offense. Even games they won, Jacksonville, they got going in that game, but the Chargers game, I think mainly because the receivers are a little inconsistent. So could it be one of those games? Maybe that's why people are picking the Texans. But I'm going to go Ravens, 24-16. Maybe a little bit more defense than you think. A little bit more. But we will see. Packers, Niners, I mean, they're all tough. They're all tough to pick. I didn't really hesitate with picking winners. I'm not going to be 100% right, maybe. That's just how it goes. But I didn't really hesitate with that. But picking against the spread, the Packers have been playing so well. And I feel like I keep picking them to lose. I picked them to lose against the Bears the last week because the Bears defense is playing so well. And the Packers figured out how to do enough against them. They didn't do a whole lot. But the main issue with the Packers was I just haven't been trusting their defense. But they've been playing well the last few games we've seen them play. But before that, it was a disaster. It looked like the Bucs game, even the Giants game with the Bucs, the Panthers, and everyone's, calling for Joe Barry to be fired on the spot. It was a disaster. It looked like the worst in football. And now they're playing pretty well all of a sudden. They played well against the Cowboys. I think the bright spot against the Cowboys was definitely the offense, though. So it's tough to have them losing by 10, and it's a somewhat similar scoreline as what I had for the Cowboys game. I was dead wrong about that. I do think the Niners and the Cowboys are totally different teams and totally different competition, especially in the playoffs. I always look at the matchup, and the Packers are good, on the rise, a team to watch for as early as right now, actually, but really for next year even more so. But the Packers, I mean, they can run, they can pass. I'm not going to doubt Jordan Love at all throwing the ball. I don't think they'll be able to run nearly as well as they have been recently, though. The Niners are one of the top teams stopping to run. The Packers' offensive line's been dominating. I look at a team like the Cowboys. Where are they weak on defense, specifically interior defensive line and linebacker? The 49ers are extremely strong at those positions, so it's a little bit different matchup for the O-line, for the running game, for interior pressure, perhaps. So, and again, the Packers' defense not too long ago looked like the worst in football. Recently, they've been looking pretty good. I know the pass defense has improved. It's in a confusing short amount of time, but it's actually improved. The run defense, I still worry about very much. Again, the Cowboys are playing from down pretty much right away. They had to pass more than they wanted to, not by a whole lot, but the Niners will come out and they will pound the football, and they can run on anybody. And the Packers' run defense, I still definitely worry about. So I think that is also a big factor. McCaffrey should have a good game. I think Kittle has a pretty solid game. And then Debo, you have to account for him too on his, different style of plays that they will call. So I'm going to trust the Niners. Packers are an up-and-coming team for sure. Really excited about Jordan Love. Aaron Jones been playing out of his mind. Young players throughout this roster, the receivers, even on defense, they've had some players. But bad match. The Niners are the team in the NFC. I mean, the Niners are better on both sides of the ball. I think everyone's got to agree on that. Maybe the offense is not that far off, but you factor in like what the Niners can do on the ground to anybody, especially the Packers' run defense. Factor that in, it's a big piece of it too. So 30-20. I mean, even with the Cowboys game, I predicted it wrong, but I said there's a shot for the Packers to come out and start with the ball and run the football, open up everything else. And they did exactly that. Not that that was my prediction, but I said that was a possibility. I don't know what the scenario is here. I think they got to come out throwing. And they got to get unique pressure on Brock Purdy and throw him off a little bit. Find different ways to get pressure on him, not just the old-fashioned way, not just rushing 4 or 3. But at times you do want to rush 3. You want to drop more guys in coverage and confuse Brock Purdy, maybe disguise your coverage a little bit, because the games they've lost been some big important games, and he's turned the ball over a little bit. So maybe the Packers have some plan there defensively that would kind of be their keys to victory. But the matchup favors the Niners because what they do differently than the Cowboys, where their strengths are and how they run the football against a weaker run defense. So 30-20, 49ers is what I got. Next game, Bucs and Lions. Now this is bold because the Lions just won by 1 point, and they won by this exact score. So that's where but I don't want to change my score just because of that. Like, what are the chances they win by 1 point again and win by the same exact score? But I'm not a guy to change my prediction based off that logic. So this is what I came up with. Actually, when I originally plugged in here was 26-23, but I'm like, the Lions don't kick that many field goals. They go for it on 4th down. So 24-23, same exact score as last week, but a totally different matchup. I think the Rams are better than the Bucs, but it's different. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. Things will go differently. I think it's tough that the Lions played the Buccaneers. It's always hard to beat a team twice, but I'm going to have them do it. I think they're the better team. They're at home here. They're coming off an emotional win. That's another reason it could be pretty close. What an interesting matchup that I love for this is not specific players, but red zone defense versus red zone offense. You have the best of the best here, or around that, and the Bucs are much improving in terms of the defensive category since earlier in the year they played each other before. I thought Jared Goff played his best game in the Lions uniform. The adjustments he made, the plays he made to win that game, and what started off as a defensive game. Does he do it again? I think he definitely could. Which Bucs defense is going to show up in the middle of the year? They look like one of the worst in football. Recently, they look pretty good, but they haven't seen the Lions. Unpredictable offense. Will jam it down your throat. Will out-physical you. Could run or pass equally. They're effective in both ways. They'll go for it on 4th down. So it'll be tough for them. So will like the midseason Bucs defense come out? It's a possibility. The Lions on paper, they're getting some guys back. They might look better than the last time they played them, but the defense was playing really, really well early in the year. I don't think they're nearly playing nearly as well. I think it's more so they become a little bit more predictable, a lot of man coverage. That's probably what it is. So it really doesn't have to do with the players. And the Bucs probably improved on both sides of the ball since then, so that makes things interesting. The Lions try to do some similar things we did last time. That's why a lot of the division games they split, because it's so hard to beat a team twice, because you kind of got to do what worked last time, but teams kind of adjust for it. But I think the Lions are smart enough. I think they'll kind of tweak some things here. But it could be a bit of a trap game. I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin can play really well. Now you have to look at the film and account for the other guys that went off last week, so it makes it a little tricky. The Lions are stopping a run again like they were earlier in the year. I like that. Lee McNeil was out for a bit. He's fantastic. This is a tricky one on like what type of game will it be, because if I had to pick a weak spot of the Lions, it's definitely the defense, because the offense is great. Both run, pass protection. And the defense has given up some big plays and some points down the stretch here. So definitely the defense. For the Bucs are a little more balanced, actually. But stuck in my mind is that defense halfway through the year. It was so bad. So I still think the weaknesses on both these teams are probably the defense, specifically the pass defense, if we're getting specific. They're both pretty good stopping a run. I mean, Vita Vea been back. He looks great. So could this be an all-out shootout through the air? Part of me wants to think that's a possibility there, but again, the Lions play good run defense, so do the Bucs. The Bucs defense been playing better in general. This is the score I came up with, 24-23. Looking forward to seeing the red zone battles, because we know the Lions are going to go on fourth down. We know the Bucs have improved, and they're actually really good, top 3 in the NFL in the red zone defense, and both these teams stop the run. I always love that. I don't think you have a chance to win championship football unless you can stop the run, because it's just an easy way. Like if a team goes and plays you in the playoffs, it's all about game plan. Like, all right, if they look at like they can't stop the run, let's just do that. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna control the clock. We're gonna hold the ball forever, limit their chance. It's so easy to win. So it's fantastic that both these teams can stop the run, and they both got their nose tackles back, in the perfect times. A little bit ago, not just now, but and they're both very good nose tackles. So maybe those are the highlighted players here. The 2 nose tackles, Lee McNeil and Vita Vea. So I'm excited about this game. It could be. I either see it as the Lions winning in an ass beating, which I didn't predict. I don't see the Bucs winning in an ass beating fashion. It would either be the Lions win big, or it's just a really close game. 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, either way. Maybe 4 maximum. Like 24-20. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. I think the Lions I think they're the better team. Their offense is more explosive, and they're at home. A crazy emotional win last week. The revenge game for Goff playing Stafford, first playoff game in a long time. They win it. Just the energy after that game, the way they acted was like they won more than just a wild card game, and I love that. It's awesome to see. But sometimes after those huge emotional games, teams don't play like themselves. I don't know how that makes sense, but I've seen it over and over again. I just don't think it was emotional enough for me to predict them to lose or anything, but those are things I'm looking out for. This is probably my favorite. Now, I can't say that. It's my second favorite game of the week, because this is my favorite game of the week. Chiefs and Bills. First glance, it's like Patrick Mahomes, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, that offense line, Andy Reid, and then versus the Bills, Josh Allen, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Stephon Diggs. Probably should list him first out of the weapons. Gabe Davis probably back. Shakir's playing well. Offense line's playing better than past years. With all that being said, it sounds like a shootout, a classic Chiefs-Bills shootout, offensive game, and it very well could be. I actually hope it is. Something's telling me maybe not. Lower scoring than you think. A couple things. The weather. Going to be chilly out there probably, but the Chiefs run the ball better than they have in the past. That helps run the clock a little bit more. They're still going to live and die by the pass. The Chiefs defense is balling. It's playing very, very well. They'll be. My favorite thing about them, I've been saying it since really early this year, Titan coverage. I mean, lockdown. Like, you're going to have to fit a ball in a tight window, which Josh Allen could do. But he could throw some interceptions too. To play against the Chiefs, you're going to fit in a tight window. And the Bills, they're going to get some guys back on defense. They are pretty beat up, but the Chiefs' offense has not been the same as the past. But they feel like they played a little bit better, except for the red zone against the Dolphins. So maybe it's just them clicking in the playoff gear. Very well could happen. I know Mahomes and Reed a little bit more involved than Nagy right now, so that's good as well. But they're not playing as well, mainly because the receiver drops. Kelsey drops. Maybe going away from the run a little too easy. Not super often. So that helps in the lower scoring. The Bills, another reason. James Cook ran crazy against them last time. They played not too long ago. It was in Kansas City. I don't want to base everything off the regular season game, so I'm not going to fully do that. But Cook ran very, very well. So are the Bills going to be going like, we kind of got to go with that? Are the Chiefs going, we kind of got a game plan for that? But the Bills have so many different ways of beating you, but they could stick to the ground with Josh Allen and James Cook. But that's why I do like the Bills. They're at home. If this was in Kansas City, I'd pick the Chiefs. It's that good of a game where the home field advantage definitely matters in this type of atmosphere, this type of, this big of a game. Bills just have so many different ways of beating you. They make you think. They keep you on your toes. They stretch the field out so much. They can do anything they really want. It's really about the play calling and taking care of the football. And then again, they should be getting some guys back on defense. Hopefully guys like Rasul Douglas could stay healthy. Dotson, guys like this. So Elam came in. He played all right last week. So if he has to play, he is going against Patrick Mahomes rather than Mason Rudolph. But the Steelers receivers are probably better than any of the receivers in the Chiefs, even though Rasheed Rice's been playing great. But home field advantage, the Bills' difference at home and away has been significant this year. The crowd's going to be crazy against so many different ways of beating you. I'm going to go with the Bills 23-20. These games should be really fun this week. But picks against the spread. We did really, really well on the year. 157, 111. This week's tough. Texans plus 9.5. It seems like a lot. I think more of a defensive. I'm leaning more defense. So if you're leaning defense, you probably take the team getting a lot of points. But the Ravens they're a different animal. They're a different animal. It's in Baltimore with that Baltimore weather for the Texans. So that would be the reason that if you want to take the Ravens, if you're feeling the Ravens, that'd be the reason there. Niners, Packers, definitely wouldn't touch. 9's a lot, but the Niners are another one. They're a complete different animal in the NFC. Like I think they're a lot better than all the other teams in the NFC. Not that the other, all the other teams that are left they're very good. But the interior of this defense, not just the D-line with the linebackers, could cause problems for the Packers. It just makes it a different matchup than past games where the Packers have been playing well. And the 49ers should be able to run the ball very effectively. The Packers don't lose by a lot of points when they lose. That'd be a reason to go with them. But the Niners, when they're just the better team and there's a way, like a matchup advantage. I look at the run game and the interior of the defense. They take care of that. And they figure it out and they win. They usually win by much more than 10 points even. So tricky one. Bucks Lions. Yeah, the Lions could win big, but I think it's gonna be a close game. 6.5 seems like a bit. Bucks are much improved, throughout the year. Lions, I don't know still. The offense probably is. I actually thought Goff was playing better earlier in the year, but I think mainly because Gibbs, kind of makes them what makes them better. Defensively, they probably were better earlier in the year. So I look at it that way, it becomes interesting. So that's why I think getting 6.5. I'd rather go Bucks. I do think the Lions are the better team, though, and they're at home, so I will take them. And we talked about it in the game. Bills minus 2.5. I have them winning by 3. The game could go either way. If you think the Chiefs are going to win, then you probably should take them plus 2.5. If you can get it at 3. I've also seen the line there for some apps as well. That'd be pretty decent if you're on the Chiefs train there. But I don't really like betting on these things. I like. I've had more success, in the next round, like the conference title games, especially with props in those rounds. And my props in the Super Bowl killed it last year. So I think those are a little easier than this round. Is it going to be as good of a game, or is it going to be better than the games last week? I mean, they were pretty bad last week. So hoping we get some better things here. Oh, and then we got more. Almost forgot. So if I had to pick a game against the spread, I'm going to go Bucks 6.5. The other ones are too tricky. I'd go Bucks 6.5. I think they have a chance to win. I didn't pick them to win. Straight up, I'm going to go Niners. I almost went Ravens, but the offense of them I think the Ravens win, but there could be a little stale, kind of what they do in the playoffs, and they had a lot of time off. Niners matchup favors them. I'm going to go with them. In a primetime game at home. Over-under, I'll go under on Houston-Baltimore, barely. But that's probably the best over-under. I'm not in love with all of these. I mean, the straight-up games, the Niners should win. The Ravens should win. The other two I wouldn't touch in terms of money line. But yeah, that if I had to pick, that's where I'm at. I do like these touchdown scores. I kind of rank them. McCaffrey's most likely to score for obvious reasons. He's the best touchdown scorer in football. But the matchup, the Packers struggle to stop the run. He should score. Josh Allen, rushing touchdown machine. They ran really well against the Chiefs last time, mainly James Cook. Maybe they'd be focused on that. Josh Allen takes off, maybe a little read option, or just a sneak on the goal line, or he can take off from distance as well. Multiple ways that Josh Allen, he doesn't rely on just being on the goal line. I like the matchup for Sam Laporta. Tight end's been making plays against the Buccaneers, and they've been scoring touchdowns against the Buccaneers a lot, actually. Very common for tight ends to score touchdowns. And Sam Laporta, you do want to make sure he's 100% healthy, but he looked good last year. I was surprised about that, but I definitely think he scores. I think Mike Evans scores just, he'll get in his opportunities in the end zone. He's a touchdown machine. He's just too big of a body maybe for those Lions corners, which could be the weaker spot of that team. George Kittle. The Packers seem to give up touchdowns and some big plays to tight ends, and Kittle's a big play machine, so I think he's next most likely. Gus Edwards been getting the touchdowns for the Ravens, but I'm just thinking, big game like this against DeMeco Ryans defense, they'll stop like your traditional run pretty well. They have a good game plan, and they might blitz, they might disguise things. So that kind of leads me to believe two things. Lamar Jackson design runs are different than what the Texans stop, like your traditional just handoffs, just normal runs. So that kind of gives them the edge, but also scrambles. If they bring pressure, they blitz the Browns a shit ton. I think they're going to blitz less in this game, but when they blitz, he could take off, escapes the pressure. He doesn't have time to throw, just takes off and scores. So that'd be my reason for Lamar. Some other teams, the Texans, I'd probably list Nico Collins next, maybe. I could put him at 7, but that pass defense of the Ravens is pretty good. For the Chiefs, I almost want to say Kelsey still, but he's been a little off this year. It's tough to pick one from the Chiefs. But yeah, some of these teams are tough. The Packers, wanted to put Aaron Jones in here because he's an absolute touchdown machine and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. The Niners could take the run away by stopping it because they're very good at it. Also by getting a lead and controlling the clock with their run game, so that could put the Packers in a pass situation. So a little hesitant with that one. And Reed could score, Dobbs could score, Tucker Kraft could score, so many different ways. AJ Dillon should be back as well. So I don't know. These are the 6 I felt good about in that order. Top 4 I feel really good about. I really think those top 4 score. Kittle is kind of like a matchup thing for me. It's a little tough because Debo could be that next guy to score. Or CMC can get all the touchdowns, or IU could score, so it's a little tricky. And Lamar hasn't got as many rushing touchdowns as we usually get from him, but I think because the matchup. So I do like those 5 and 6, but I put the top 4 in a different category. I think the top. I really think those guys score. I guess the Lions could be a little tricky because Montgomery can score, Gibbs can score, St. Brown, one of the best receivers in football, could score. Reynolds looked good last week. Jameson Williams has been playing better. So that they have several different ways to score. I really like the matchup. Laporta, tight end's been scoring on the Bucs. I think a lot of the focus should be St. Brown, which St. Brown will play well. He just typically plays better against man than zone, but he plays very well against both because he's great. But the Bucs will run a lot of zone blitz. So I think that leaves Laporta more likely. And the Bucs stop the run very well. I'm almost going to guarantee a running back scores for the Lions. It's a little tricky, though, but they stop the run very, very well, the Bucs. It leaves me with Laporta as my favorite one there, even though that one's a little tricky because the different options. Everybody has options, but so I do really like those top 4. Do you go crazy? Go to 4 touchdown parlay. Hey, if it's a couple bucks, it's worth the shot. Wonder what CMC, I didn't even check. CMC and Allen together probably wouldn't pay too much. It'd definitely be positive odds, you would think. But then the 3-1, if you Laporta and Evans about in the same boat. So if you rather go Laporta, if you rather go Evans, do those 3, that could be pretty fun. So there you have it. A lot of fun. I like having a lot of fun with this one. We also have off-season videos that are rolling out now and more to come. A lot planned, trying to get things going here. I'm excited. I'm excited for playoff football. Well, I was last week. I was disappointed with the ass beatings. Besides the one game was pretty good. But this, it's getting better. It'll keep getting better. The next 3 games after this week will be obviously very good. We think the conference title game, Super Bowl. So can't wait. It's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.